guys, what's going on? It is Ash here coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. Hope this video finds you all doing well. How are you guys staying occupied? Are you guys just basically, a recluse now, shut in your houses? Are you still getting out? Are you an essential worker? Let me know how you're doing. I hope you guys are seriously, doing well out there. I went to the beach today with my son. Kind of weird, just kind of like a ghost town, outside. Didn't really see anybody, which is good, obviously, and, just kind of hanging in there. Hopefully you guys are too. Today we're going to talk about the 10 best non-legendary campaign farmers. We're really going to be focusing on free-to-play options as well, alongside some of the kind of S-tier epic options in this list. I was kind of aggregating these champions, the list of this data, and I'm thinking to myself, dude, there's like 20 or 30 viable campaign farmers, so I'm going to leave a lot of champions out. I do want to throw a few honorable mentions, namely 3 of the starting champions, Elaine, Aethel, and Gaelic. I'm not going to have them on the list, but they're still completely viable, especially Aethel in my opinion, and then Elaine, then Gaelic as starters. Also, a couple, one uncommon that I wanted to mention here, Executioner 2. I want to mention he's totally cool, kind of an honorable mention. And then you guys probably already know about this dude, but he is an uncommon. He is Saurus. So Saurus is a lizard man. You can see campaign locations in Spider's Den early game. This guy can definitely get you through. You need to put your best gear on him in terms of sheer all-out damage and speed. Attacks all enemies on his A1 and attacks all enemies on his A2. Attacks all enemies 2 times on his A2. So if you're just starting out in the game, you need a good campaign farmer, or you want maybe a couple, go ahead and think about running Saurus. Maybe you want to put Kale into all dragon gear and you need a new campaign farmer for 12-3. Go ahead and try out Saurus. So guys, those are the honorable mentions. Let's go ahead and get into the, actually, I take it back. I want to show you, feel free to fast forward 1 minute if you don't care about masteries, but it's important to talk about campaign farmer masteries, right? How are you equipping these guys? Obviously, you want to go all out for attack champions. You want to go all out on attack chestplate, speed boots, crit rate, crit damage as high as possible along with attack, right? On masteries, you guys want to go with, just to name a few really important ones here, the first one is Whirlwind of Death. In the offense tree, increases speed by 6 for each enemy killed by this champion, stacks across each round up to 18 speed, so you can pick up 18 speed as you go into the second, third round of the campaign farm, which is going to help you out a lot. Also, we have Kill Streak, both in the offensive category here. You're going to want to have these 3 masteries, especially if you can, on your speed farming champion. Increases damage inflicted by 6% in the arena, 3% in all of the locations for each enemy killed, and again, that can stack up to 12%. That's going to help you out a ton. And then the last one is Spirit Haste in the support category in the 5th tier here. Spirit Haste increases speed by 8 for each dead ally. If you're going to run them with food, kind of leveling up food in campaign, this is great because the food's going to die in the first turn, the first round, and then you're going to increase your speed up to 24 throughout the rest of the battle. So there you go. Those are the masteries that you guys are going to want to have on your speed farmers. If you have those 3 masteries, it's going to make a pretty significant difference to your time. Going to be shaving off a matter of, up to 5 seconds off your run, which compounded by the thousands of runs that you do is actually going to make a difference. Anyway, guys, let's go ahead and jump into the list. So I told you guys this list was going to include some really free-to-play friendly champions, and that's going to be the case with Shield Guard. Any campaign farmer list needs to at least give a nod to Shield Guard, in my opinion, because he is an often overlooked uncommon champion here on this list, and he's actually really solid. First of all, his damage for an uncommon is based on defense, so you can actually build him out with a bunch of defense and a bunch of speed, and he's going to be completely viable for you guys, seriously. Also, just a thing to look for in any champion that you're looking to make a campaign farmer, you want to build them out with ideally 200 speed, at least trying to shoot for like 150. If you build them out to 200 plus, you're going to be able to hit 2 times in case you don't kill an enemy before they get to go. That's what's going to really add time to your total when the enemies start attacking you, okay? And also looking for in a champion who has multiple AoEs in their kit, or 1 AoE on a 3-turn cooldown or less, okay? So we see Shield Guard's kit, just attack 1 enemy with a decreased speed on the A1, whatever, but this is what it's all about here. Battle Stance. It's an AoE, then fills this champion's turn meter by 20% on each critical hit. Damage inflicted again based on defense. You can actually load him up with a bunch of defense. He's hitting decently hard, and check this out, guys. 2 turn cooldown when you book him up. easy to book too, right? Just use rare books on him. So 2-turn cooldown on this, and you're filling his turn meter each critical hit. So 4 times, if you build him with 100% crit rate, that's going to be an 80% turn meter boost every single time he goes with this Battle Stance ability. So that's why he's on the list, guys. Coming in at, well, not ranked, but coming in at number 1 on the list is Shield Guard. Next up, a champion that absolutely must be on any campaign farmer list. In my opinion, it is Hound. We know him from Fire Knight, but he's also a beast in campaign. He's a rare champion, although he is a void, so a little bit harder to come across. But hey, man, he is an AoE that scales off of defense first, then attacks. You can build him out with a lot of defense, and a hard-hitting, defense-based AoE scales pretty decent, again, for a rare champion, albeit a void one. And AoE attacks all enemies. It can kill all those enemies, and he's just going to keep autoing on his A1. Hound is a tremendous speed farmer. You're very lucky if you have him, and if you have him, you probably know how good he is in campaign. Next up is Skullcrown. Skullcrown widely considered to be one of the top 5 campaign farmers inside the game, and rightfully so. Like I said, Knight Revenant champion. You guys know Skullcrown by now if you've been watching the channel for a while. If you have her, again, congratulations. She's a great champion, not just in Spiders in Arena, but also in campaign. 2 AoE active skills. Attacks all enemies on a 3-turn cooldown when booked on the A2, and then again an AoE on the A1 when she's not hitting with the A2. A lot of people use Skullcrown as their speed farmer. In campaign, she does a great job. So next up is going to be Royal Guard. We talked a lot about Royal Guard's kit here on the channel before, so I won't show you every single ability, but suffice it to say, Takedown is a great AoE option. Damage scales on attack and enemy max HP, and 4 times at random on the Hamstring ability as well. It's not as hard hitting, certainly, as the Takedown, but he can be an option for you guys if you don't have, you know, one of these top tier champions. I look at him as maybe like a very, very small notch below some of the other champions on this list, but he can get the job done in 20 to 30 seconds, depending on the masteries and whatnot. And the gear, of course. Everything's very gear dependent in this game, as you guys know. The thing about Tyrell, though, Tyrell will be later on the list. The thing about Royal Guard, though, guys, is that he's a great option, but the way I have him built right now is particularly for Spiders and other dungeons right now. So although he's, 21 seconds, not too bad, right? But he doesn't have those masteries that I talked about. So I could probably shave that down to about 16 seconds or so, 15 seconds if I had those correct masteries on him. But either way, Tyrell, stop it! We'll do Tyrell next. Royal Guard's a great option, guys. So next up is going to be Tyrell, finally, the half-elf brother of Royal Guard. Apparently I confused the two. Sorry about that, guys. Tyrell can be a very adequate campaign farmer as well. He's kind of a jack of all trades. I use him in Clan Boss, so he doesn't have any of the masteries that I spoke about that we're wanting to get on our campaign farmer, so just take that into consideration when you see him right now going live. So again, probably going to be around 30 seconds or so, but Tyrell is a great option. He's kind of again, kind of like Kale. He is a guy that if you pull early, if you're lucky enough to get a Tyrell, you can almost use him anywhere in the game, even in dungeons that, he's not traditionally known for, like Fire Knight, for example. If you're just trying to clear, whatever, level 16 for the first time, and you just need that debuffer, that kind of support role, and putting out a decent amount of damage as well. He has a turn meter manipulation on his A3, which will help you out as well, and you can see it's actually going to be a little bit over 30 seconds here, so not the fastest run, but, a viable option nonetheless in Tyrell. So one of the real S-tier campaign farmers, non-legendary, well actually just including all champions, is Gala. Gala is one of those champions, one of my best friends, Powerbang. When we both started this game around the same time, we were both like so hooked on Raid Shadow Legends, and he pulled Gala as one of his first champions, and dude, I was so jealous of this guy. I was like, every day he was screenshotting or doing like phone recordings of Gala just tearing up campaign and arena, and I was like, I want Gala so bad. And of course, as fate would have it, I ended up pulling her like 6 months later, and I haven't even built her up because I don't really necessarily need her on any of my teams, but she's still really, really good. And it's because on her A2, it's the Devastate ability, and it instantly activates the A3 if a target is killed by the attack. So it's always going to kill one enemy. She'll start out with her A3, attacks all enemies 3 times. And then it has a chance of placing a decreased defense, okay? And then she'll go to her A2. That's on a 4-turn cooldown. and then she'll go to her A2, she'll kill an enemy, and boom, she'll go right back to her crack armor again. You guys can see why she's such a viable option for campaign farming. Gala, definitely a champion worth considering, especially if you have her in your vault. Well, you probably don't have her in your vault. If you have her, you're probably using her, right? Gala is definitely a pro in campaign. Well, here he is, guys, the guy that you've been waiting for, maybe one of the two guys you've been waiting for. Of course he makes the list. It's Belair. Belair, I just did a endgame Belair guide maybe about a week ago here on the channel in case you missed it. We tried him out in full support gear and then all out my best nuking gear on the account. And I'll tell you what, on the support gear, he was way better except for campaign. If you want to build your Belair for campaign and you want him to one-shot enemies, just keep in mind, if you want him to one-shot, he's going to have a lot of crit damage, like 250 plus, and a lot of attack, as much as you can get on him. So definitely keep that into account when you're building out your Belair. Now, alternatively, you don't have to worry so much about getting an insane amount of crit damage and attack. You can actually build him up with over 200 speed again. It won't be as fast, but he'll be able to at least multi-shot the enemies because he has an AoE on every single one of his attacks. So every time he attacks, he will be hitting every single enemy. Belair, definitely a great option, which a lot of people in this game use. Probably one of the more popular non-starter campaign farmers inside the game because he is a rare, albeit a void rare. Next up is going to be Sedessa, another Knight Revenant on the list here, guys. She's great because she has an AoE on her A1, attacks all enemies, then it places an extra hit on enemies with less than 50% HP. She's going to be burning, literally burning wave is the name of the ability. She's going to be burning through opponents, burning through these waves with ease in campaign because, again, if she doesn't kill them on the first attack, she's going to place an extra hit on them, and likely they are going to be on 12-3 Brutal with decent gear. They're going to be below 50% HP, so oftentimes it's burning wave is just going to be like bang, 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 getting through the 3 waves of minions and completing your speed farm adventure. Next up is Nazanin. Nazanin actually makes the list, a champion that not a lot of people talk about. She has Force Affinity, so you're going to be using her on 12-6. If you have a Force Affinity speed farmer, you don't go 12-3, you go 12-6, you have the correct affinity matchup. It's kind of a note for you guys because it is Spirit Affinity in 12-3. Anyway, Nazanin here is a Demon Spawn champion. She has a really cool aesthetic, really a cool look about her. I actually don't have her built up, but she has 2 great AoEs. Let's talk about it. A1, obviously an AoE, just straight up AoE attack on the A1. On the A2, just an Ally Protect, not really going to help you out too much in speed farming. And then the Steel Breaker is on a 3-turn cooldown when booked out, much more hard-hitting than her A1, attacks all enemies, and then has a 50% chance of placing a 50% decreased attack, which again doesn't really matter in speed farming. But Nazanin, with 2 decent AoEs, especially on her A1, A3, is going to be a really, really viable option for you guys in 12-6 Brutal campaign farming. And the champion that I'm sure the most of you use actually as your speed farmer, especially if you're early or mid game, is Kale. Kale is one of the starting champions. I would advise that you all go with Kale as starting champion unless you just wanted to be a little bit different. They're all pretty good, but Kale is really just a step above the rest because he's great in Clan Boss. He's great in Dragon's Lair, which is usually the first dungeon that people really get to kind of sink their teeth into in terms of the kind of mid-game content inside Raid Shadow Legends. And then on top of that, he's a great speed farmer for a campaign. You can kind of do everything even with like decent gear and without having to like re-equip him every single time. Just put him high speed, make sure his accuracy is high enough so he's landing his poison on the clan boss, on the dragon, and then just load him up with as much damage as you can. Now you're running into problems when you get to like Nightmare clan boss and you really need that defense chest plate on Kale. That's where people usually graduate away from Kale as their speed farmer when they start having to re-equip him with more defense for both higher level dragons and for higher level clan boss. Talking again like Brutal, Nightmare, Ultra Nightmare, you might not be able to get away with the attack chest plate, which you want on him again for speed farming in campaign. But hey, with all that said, Kale's still a great option as your campaign speed farmer. He's really accessible in the game, so hey, I know some people, I think I saw somebody in the comments just a few days ago who said they have 2 Kales built. One for kind of the poison Kale with higher defense and accuracy, and one just all out damage damage and attack and crit damage and crit rate. So it's just really up to you guys, but either way, Kale is a great option for you. So who did I leave off this list, guys? Let me know in the comments below. Really enjoyed making this one. I hope you enjoyed the show as well. Hopefully you're doing well out there. Again, kind of ending on the note that we started with here on this video. Thinking about you guys, both mentally and physically. Hope you and your loved ones are all safe and doing well. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, take care, guys.